Hi, thanks so much for joining me today. My name is Jennifer Jean. Today on my poetry business slash writing life video, I wanted to talk a little bit about great conversation I had with Iraqi poet Hana Ahmed and educator and translator Tamara Alatia. We had our conversation recently, as per usual for everyone, via Zoom, and it was just so amazing. They are really, truly amazing women. I wanted to talk about this today because my earlier videos, I do two videos along with this one. One is on my favorite poem, and this week and today I talked about a Szymborska poem. What was that poem called? Oh, The Three Oddest Words. And then I break down the poem, do a close reading. And I also do a poem of my own in a separate video. And this week it was The Pace of Translation, which was originally published in Consequence magazine. So there's a theme for this week. I'm talking to Hana and Tamara about our translation project that we're working on together through the Herstorious Collective, which I'm a part of. And so I thought, I want to talk about this conversation. So for my own poem, I thought it made sense to do the close reading of The Pace of Translation because it's about translation, and about my favorite poem, that's Szymborska, as I said, who is a Polish poet and been heavily translated. She won the Nobel Prize not too long ago, actually. So she has international fame through her translated works. So there's this theme today of translation. It makes sense, as I said, because of this conversation with Hana and Tamara. So before I go into the conversation itself, I just wanted to say a little bit about the project that I'm doing with Hana and Tamara, and also actually another translator, Wasan, who's also an educator, an Iraqi educator. The project we're working on is sort of a response project. We each decided that we'll write poems, and these poems would be about places in our homeland that we have an emotional connection to and that we wanted to introduce to each other. So we wrote these initial poems about those things. And Hana wrote about a sidewalk. I think the title of her poem was Sidewalk of Books, about this one street in Iraq that had been commandeered, I suppose you could call it, by university students to present their books and their favorite books, and then booksellers started coming there, and it just became a big deal. And I think they called it Culture Street, something like that. And then at one point, and it's in Mosul, I forgot to mention that, the city of Mosul, and it was bombed not too long ago, and it was very devastating for book lovers and just for the city and people in general to have that happen. And it's just now getting repaired. And so she wrote about that. And my initial poem, because I didn't know what she was writing about, so I didn't get that response yet, was about the street where my father and I last saw each other. So my father passed away in October, and I wanted to mention that in the poem, and just in my poem, I more imagined that Hana was with me, and I was showing her this place where I last saw my father. The street is Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, and so we would, I took her through Sunset down to the beach, etc. in this poem. And so now our task, because we're at the beginning of this project, is to respond to each other's poems. So we're in the process of composing these poems, and we work with Tamara to answer each other's questions. And it's so exciting. I love this. Co-translating is so much fun. And also responding is so much fun. But in addition to that, we have these great conversations about being writers, women writers, but also writers in our specific countries. And what's so interesting, and I experienced this when I first had my first residency with the Herstorious Collective. We traveled to Dubai in 2017. All of us realized at different points that we have so much in common, and that's the thing about working with people cross-culturally, is that yes, there's difference, and we honor that difference, and we learn from that difference, absolutely. But it's also exciting to see what's in common, what makes us all human, and what makes us all, in the case of this project, all artists. That artists across the globe at this time are facing the same kinds of problems because we're all experiencing COVID. We're all dealing with tech issues and scarcity and things like that in our own ways and in different varying degrees, of course. But the issues and the solutions, that's actually really what I wanted to talk about. The solutions are very similar. So the thing that came up in the conversation with Hannah and Tamara that I wanted to focus on in this talk with all of you is that I wanted to ask Hannah to do something outside of that project we were working on that I just described. So something in addition. And maybe I should go into that. That in addition thing has to do with another Herstorious Initiative, which is an anthology, a bilingual anthology of Arabic poems written by women, contemporary poems that are being co-translated by Kieran Kapoor, myself, and we have a whole host of wonderful, just very talented translators that work with us. So I wanted to involve Hannah in that she could be a first reader. And so she said, this is a fantastic project. I love it. I love that you're doing it. I love that women's voices, Arab women from around the world, because we're not just reaching out to Iraqi women in this specific anthology, that their voices can be heard. And she said she definitely wanted to be part of it. However, and this was what was interesting, she said, however, now that I'm gaining some success in my writing life, I'm moving along with it, it's gaining momentum, I'm getting a lot of requests from people asking me to do things for free. And I just thought, yeah, I know exactly what she's talking about. That's just what happens when you put yourself out there and you start to do things for free to gain experience and exposure. And sometimes it's quid pro quo because folks have done things for you and you want to, from your heart, do things for them. However, you get to a certain point, and I could totally relate. She went on and she said she was telling her experience. It was exactly my experience, which is, people constantly asking and having an expectation that you can do things for free and not realizing, people don't know. They're just asking, and that's their right to ask. They let you say no if you want to. But more and more, she was noticing that she wasn't being offered payment specifically from places and people that could pay, and for things that are often people receive pay for. So that's the crux here. And so she started to take note of that, and she decided, we're only in February right now, and she decided when the new year hit that she was going to make a change, and anytime that anyone asked her, she would evaluate the thing itself and decide very carefully whether she was going to do it for free. Whether she was going to do it at all, because her time is precious. Of course it is. All artists, all people's time is precious, but as artists, our artistic and creative time, is precious, because we want to make sure we're serving our own projects, because that's what gives us life, and makes us the artists that we are. So she's evaluating whether she says yes or not. And then if she wants to say yes, she evaluates whether it's something that could be paid for by the organization or person. And if she wants to ask for payment, because she realizes, sometimes it's all right in her mind, depending on the project. So she said this, and as I said before, this so much resonated with me, something that artists have to grapple with, but especially when you are moving forward in your artistic career. For me as a poet, I'm moving forward and I'm getting asked to do more and more things. It's totally fine. I actually think it's great. It's a great sign of things. But I've also been thinking, like Hannah, what things do I say yes to? What things do I say no to? What things just move me and I want to give it generously and freely because I can, and the impetus is there, and just evaluating things more carefully. So yeah, that just drove home the whole purpose of the Herstorious project, which brings, as I said, cross-culturally brings people together, in this case women together, women artists, to connect and collaborate and recognize ourselves in each other, and connect on that level, and connect in the way that we learn new things. I've learned so much from all of these women. I didn't even mention Tamara. She's newly a teacher And at a university, I think she didn't tell me the name of it. She just was describing it. It was a very new university, and she has a whole teaching style that just happened to be very similar to my own teaching style. And she's no nonsense. And she's just starting off with her teaching. It took me years to become no nonsense as a writing teacher. But yeah, she's good. She's got her head on definitely right away. It's great. So to wrap up, all of you out there, know that you're not alone, that you have the right to, in a natural way, not a right like in a grippy kind of like angry way. It doesn't have to be like that. It's just a natural right to say no to things and to welcome in the things that resonate with you, and to also ask for money, to value your time. And to encourage others to value your time. That's what we were mainly talking about with each other, Hannah and I, that we encourage others to value our time by letting them know, it has a monetary value out in the world, that's standard, and, recognizing that they're able to pay and that I'm willing to receive that payment. It can be done in a non-creepy, cringy way, for sure. It can be done in a gently assertive way, for sure. And so I encourage all of you to do that. And that's your homework for today. And for any of you who are wondering, why is Jennifer doing this sort of video? I'm making this particular video public to let people know the kinds of things I talk about and the kind of projects I'm working on that I talk about. And, I found it useful to listen to other artists and writers talk about what they're working on so I can gain inspiration, but also get ideas about how to solve problems, or problems is the wrong word, maybe conundrums in my process, in my writing process, in my writing life process. I'm looking for encouragement or actual practical solutions. So those are the kinds of things I talk about in my videos. As I said, I do a video about my favorite poems, about discussing close reading and how the poems were put together. I discuss my own poems so I can even more clearly, because I'm the actual person that made the choices in the poem, discuss with other writers why I made certain choices and maybe things that I'm still unsure about, because that happens too. And then I have these writing life, sort of poetry business, writing life, they kind of go hand in hand videos that I share with people. And it's all on my Patreon page. I want to encourage all of you to sign up for my Patreon community. It's as low as $3. It's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun from it. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of you there and engaging all of you again as we help our poems become their best selves. Bye.